And so we talked about the body, the physical body. We used this form. We talked about the 12 senses. And we talked about how the physical body in our time is completely permeated by mineral substance as long as we're alive. As soon as our body is left by the astral body and the life body and the eye, then it begins to degenerate and go back into the mineral world again. And then we talked about the life body. Now we bring this sphere into a dynamic movement around itself and within itself. And we talked about the 7 life processes, and we talked about the living world. And then we talked about the astral body. We used this form, the astral flowing into the life body from the outside in and then out again and then back in again. So what you have in the life body that stays in the life body, the movement of the life body in and out of itself. Now outside, you have the same movement, but now that's a higher dimension, which comes into the body, in a way destroys the body, but gives you your capacity for your feelings and your impulses and your desires, yeah, and goes out again at the nighttime, and there it's working on your life body so that it has the archetypes to build the physical body, and then you come back in the daytime, and you're free. You're free to do what you want, to destroy your body or to build your body. That's the situation we're in today. So I talk about the 7 soul forces and the soul world. So these are actual worlds. You know, we look out with our senses. This is the mineral world around us. We see the plants, they have mineral bodies, but we see them growing. We see them alive. Well, that's an actual world, which when we develop either after death or through exercises, we develop this power of imagination. We can actually perceive in the life world. And then I talked about the soul. Again, there's a threefold soul. So there's the dimension is the sentient soul. So we use this form of this memory form, this archetype that again and again creates the same dynamics within the life body. And we talk about recollection, about memory, because memory becomes habit, and we have long-term memory, we have short-term memory. We could study just the forms of memory, which people think today it's only some kind of activity in the brain. But the brain is an amazing mirror that mirrors this life world, this soul world and life world around us. And we call it our inner life. We're in the physical dimension when we look at our own body. As soon as we're imagining, as soon as we're thinking, we're no longer in this mineral world or even the world of the body. We're already in the soul world. And so we talk about memory for the sentient soul, the mind soul. We now with these forms that are become memory, and the forms for our growth in our body become freed in the mind, they're archetypes which we can manipulate to think about things freely. Then we talk about imagination. In normal life, we don't have, maybe sometimes people have real imaginations, or during sleep, many times you touch certain imaginations. But in the physical body, in the brain, we watch these images and we're free with fantasy to make images, to have symbols in language. And like I said, in all mental operations, we're using images which we don't normally notice. You can do exercises to notice. Like I said, watch yourself when you're doing a complicated math problem. Watch you have these imaginary hands that are actually moving images around and picking them up. If you forget them, oh, I've got to add this into that. Yeah. Inwardly, you have a very dynamic movement of images taking place in your fantasy. And there we talk about image thinking rather than memory, being free to manipulate mental images. And then the spirit soul, which we use this symbol of coming out of nothing into creating an archetype. So the I has the capacity to bring every archetype out of the spiritual world into the mind. Yeah, the animal is completely dominated by its astral body, the forms to build an animal. That's why a cow is very different than a snake, because the astral body creates different etheric forms for this mineral substance to take on. But this is, you know, a bird can never be outside, never imagines what another animal experiences. But the human being now, with an I, with the spirit self coming into the soul, has this capacity to bring any archetype out of the spiritual world into the thinking process. This gives us our capacity to think, to reason, to imagine, to want to do something in the future. So we imagine how we would do it, and then we first have an image of it, and then we make it real. So I spoke about the ideation, the intuitive process, if you watch your own thinking, this is a meditative activity, to watch your own thinking, how you bring an archetype through an intuitive form, you use it to conceive, and you use it to determine what's outside you. You normally don't notice how quickly you do that. I don't know if any of you have had this experience, déjà vu, but you think, I know all of this before, because that's just an instantary moment of you experiencing that you're the one who gives the world the form it has around. Yeah. And I don't know if it's ever happened. You go to sleep, maybe you're in someone else's house, you've been traveling, you're tired, you take a nap, and you wake up, and for a few instants, you have no idea where you are. You haven't brought any archetype in to understand, to have a memory of where you are. And you have a feeling, I have to put the world together. And you do very quickly. And you go, oh, yeah, I'm in Amsterdam. Oh, yeah, and I'm at somebody's house. Okay, now you come back into where you are. And you don't notice every time you wake up that you do this. It goes so quickly. And that's what meditation is all about. Meditation is slowing that process down so that you can enter it consciously with your will. So we talk about pure thinking here, not image thinking, but pure thinking in concepts which become imagination. So the pure thinking is just on the other side of imagination. And that's what you need to get to in meditation. You can experience this pure thinking. And if you keep working at it, controlling it, it will lead you into imagination. And then we spoke about the spirit self, which is transforming. The spirit is always, Geist wirkt, Steiner said. So spirit is always working, always transforming, whatever it's doing. It's creative. Spirit is creativity. And so the spirit self is transforming the astral body. So we talk about this image concept of meditation. So you take a thought and you try to hold it. And this becomes meditation. Now people are very interested in meditation. And you realize as soon as you try to hold a thought, seconds later, you're already somewhere else. You're remembering what you want for dinner because your astral body is working on you. So you have to control that. But you don't get stressed in your astral body because you lost your concentration. You just bring it back. You bring it back. That's the process. This is how you learn anything. How to do anything is you practice. And you have to have calm to do this practice. You can't be nervous about it. So you learn how to practice living in a thought. And this could lead you to, step by step, to a very clear, free imagination, not like a drug experience, not hallucination. You're not hallucinating now when you experience the physical world because you have control. As soon as you take a drug or you, through some mental illness process, you live in hallucination, it's because you don't control these images anymore. So we control the images. We've learned how, since we were little children, to control the image world around us. That's what we call the physical world. Yeah. And you have to learn to control these astral forces through meditation, and then they become imagination. This is a level Rudolf Steiner calls, so normally we call object consciousness, and we can transform this object consciousness through meditation into imagination. And then we talk about the life spirit. Again, it's transforming the life body. Yeah. Already you can see how much work it would take to control the whole of to have dominance, to be the king of, or the queen of this astral body, that it doesn't do anything you don't want it to do. Yeah? And that's already a very high level of development. But then to be able to transform your life body, yeah, and Steiner talks about moral activity for your spirit self, but artistic activity or religious practice. Yeah? Again and again, you do the same thing. Again and again, you apply yourself to creating something objective out of yourself, either a mood in your religious practices or in art itself, creating something. And there you're working with these life forces. You're already touching the life spirit and the transformation of the life body into the life spirit. And he calls this the realm of inspiration. So you can have an imagination of things, but when people create a whole new physical object, yeah, a whole new a car, or yeah, they go, I had an inspiration. Study what built the first light bulb. Yeah, he tried 1,000 times with different substances, and then he had the idea, carbon. What if I use carbon? And now all of a sudden the light bulb worked. Yeah, so that's what we call an inspiration. And also next level, yeah, of the spirit body transforming the physical body. This level of from going into empty consciousness to giving oneself completely, which normally only happens in death. You learn to completely give up the self, and then you leave achieve this level of intuition where you are what you've given yourself up to. And we all have intuitions. People say, I just knew it. I knew that was going to happen. Or I had an intuition I shouldn't do that. So you can see already in our normal object consciousness, imaginations come in. We have fantasy, and a great artist has very controlled, very deep, very living fantasies. Yeah. And we have inspirations. Many inventors have an inspiration to do something. And we have the intuition. We do something and we immediately know, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. I will do that different next time. So we're doing this work all the time of transforming, but it'll take many, many lives. So again, I show the whole thing at once. And I want to finish with an exercise to try to bring all this together as a self-observation experience.